All right. Hey everyone, I'm Kavan Hashemian, and I'm here with Colin and Jefferson McDonald.
Hey.
Yeah, hello. I did a $1 Million Quartet cast discussion with Colin and Madeline Metzger, and these are two other great performers who are in our show here in Cohoes, at the Cohoes Music Hall. We have just a few days left in our show, and it's been a fun experience, I would say, so far. Jefferson, of course, plays Jerry Lee Lewis. Colin plays Carl Perkins.
Yeah, that's right.
Guys, how many MDQs have you done before this one?
This is number 8 for me.
This is 8?
I think this is 7 for me.
And 7 for me as well. So you're the winner.
I win. What about you?
Yeah.
7. This is my 7. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, this is my 7th. So what was the first MDQ? Where was that you did?
First one was at the Arrow Rock Lyceum Theater in Arrow Rock, Missouri. It's a small little town where they bring in a lot of their theater-going clientele comes in from Kansas City and from St. Louis. The town itself only has 56, 57 people. I think it was 56 people in the town at the time I was there. The population may have increased since. But that was the first time I did it, and after that I went on the ship, and that's where I worked with Colin here, and the rest is history.
Did you first do it on the ship, or did you do it someplace else before that?
No, I did 2 MDQs before I did the ship. The first one as Carl Perkins. The second one is Johnny Cash, actually.
Right, you played Johnny Cash.
It's my one Johnny Cash MDQ was before I did the ship. The first one I ever did was in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin, at the Palace Theater, and that was directed by Scott Weinstein, who directs the ship, and that's how I got the gig on the ship.
And he was also my director in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
He was also my director on the Norwegian getaway.
Good. So we have a director in common. That's good. What
We got a lot in common, man.
That's right.
what
We got more than just directors in the
I
company.
guess that's all I got. What were you guys part of Actors Equity Association before you started MDQ, or did that come through MDQ?
I was before.
Okay, so you had done theater for a good amount of time before you started doing $1 Million Quartet?
Let's see, I became equity in grad school out of the Oslo, the FSU Oslo Conservatory for Actor Training. And then I just was working equity since then. I'd worked for a year and a half, 2 years on other productions, and then this came up, and this has pretty much been what I've been doing for 2 years. This is my 2-year anniversary of the show.
Nice.
Yeah,
What
I
about
was
you?
not, no. I had been doing theater for a while, but it had all been mostly kind of stuff that I was writing myself and collaborating with.
You did a one-man show you were telling me about. Was that before MDQ?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was in New York City.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Steve, a docu-musical.
Okay.
My
Nice.
one-man show.
You wrote that?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, wrote that show about a man in Australia who I had never met in person, but with whom I wrote over 100 songs together, and enjoyed a quirky correspondence throughout several years.
You sang in this also?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the show was like telling the story of me meeting Steve through this website that I created, which offered this service that basically nobody else wanted, but he wanted to use a lot, which was that you could pay us about $30 a song, send us lyrics, and we would send you back an MP3 with those lyrics.
Do you still offer that service? Because I could use that.
It's still there.
$30 right now.
Although we have raised our prices.
Oh man, what is it now?
It's it might be up to 50. Might be up to 50.
$50? That's still pretty reasonable.
Still
for a
pretty
song.
reasonable, yeah.
You're gonna get some business from this.
That's right.
Oh, man.
contact www.poetrytomusic.com.
Is that the real site?
That's the real site.
Good, we'll link it in the description.
Link it.
Link it.
Yeah. So mostly that website didn't get a lot of hits, a lot of traffic, but we did a ton of songs with Steve, and that was the impetus for making that one-man show.
Okay, cool. And how long did that run?
That show?
Yeah.
Well, it was, I did like a one-off at Ars Nova in New York. I did a Fringe Festival in New York, and then I did a one-off at Joe's Pub, and then I did a 21-show run produced by my theater company, the New York Neo Futurists, and that was on like East 2nd and 4th.
These were all places in New York, in the city.
Yes.
Yeah. It didn't go to Australia, but it's
no. I think about it sometimes.
Yeah.
I could take it to a Fringe Festival, or
So what is that? What is a Fringe Festival?
that's like basically a Fringe Festival is like
Fringe or French?
fringe.
Fringe. Okay.
You
Like
know,
fringes.
like Elvis jackets.
Got it.
Fringe.
Yeah.
French fringe festivals are good.
The French
They're the
ones.
best.
The French.
Right.
The French Fringe Festival. Man, I think it's fantastic.
Oh, that's funny. It's really funny.
It's basically
You
like
do Elvis really well too.
yes.
Really well. Okay. Continue.
A Fringe Festival is like when a bunch of people who have a show that they wrote, they wanna put it up, but you know it's really hard to get people to produce your work when you're making new theater, and so it's like an organization that's like, oh, we rented 4, 5, 6, maybe as many as like 100 theaters in our city. We're throwing this festival. Anyone who wants to produce their new work can do it. Usually it's like a door split and you produce it entirely yourself, and it's a good way to workshop stuff that's new.
They're giving you a vessel to
They're giving you a
show
vessel,
your
yeah. But overall it's
creation.
like kind of a money-losing venture. So I was gonna say I could take it to a festival in Australia, but I'd probably lose a bunch of money. And I could continue to just do MDQ and make money.
Well, what you're about to do, because you're about to go back on the
Where's the fun in
Norwegian
that?
cruise.
Where's the art in that?
I have used the ship to fund some of my less profitable
Right.
artistic endeavors.
Well, so like I joined AEA through MDQ and didn't have really any theater experience before MDQ.
It's a lot of acronyms.
It's a lot, but you know what they mean, right?
AEA and MDQ. But do the good people out there, do they understand?
Yeah.
AEA is Actors Equity Association.
Thank
MDQ
you.
is... what is
Slow it
What does it
down
stand
for everybody.
That's right.
What's the man?
Spell it out. It's gonna have subtitles in this video. So what I was saying in the last video I did with my other two MDQ castmates was that it's really nice
Is
to
this
meet.
video better?
It's already, I'm sure, way better.
It's different. I can't say it's better.
Different.
It's just different. But that it's nice to meet people who maybe had formal training or have done other. Because as you can probably tell, being on stage with me, no formal training, acting whatsoever. And but that's what.
But, I mean, we weren't going to tell you.
I know. That's nice.
You're not supposed to say that.
But that's what Jefferson. That's what you went to school for, right? Is acting or no?
Yeah,
That's what you were in school for.
that's what my degree says, so I guess.
That's what the
2
degree
degrees,
says.
right?
2 degrees.
You have 2 degrees.
Yeah, well, yeah, I have 3.
Three?
I have another one, but that one's not an act, just liberal arts. Then one in drama, and then the big one, the MFA
Yeah.
in acting.
Hey,
Another acronym.
Explain to the good people out there
what is
what
MFA
MFA means.
MFA, that's an acronym. Another acronym for Masters of Fine Arts. Masters in.
So
Masters
what do
of.
you do with a degree like that? What's the idea
Well,
to apply it to?
Well, really, what you're looking. Well, actually, there are multiple reasons. A lot of people go and get that degree because they want to teach. A lot of people want to do it because they really want to work in the industry, and it's a good way. I happen to be working at a professional theater the Oslo Repertory Theater, which is one of the last repertory theaters in the country. So I had an opportunity to work in repertory theater, which you don't get to do very often. So that was very cool. And then you accumulate your equity points. So when I graduated, I was equity. So and they put on a nice showcase and help you do that. So they help send you out. But a lot of kids, they also had a lot of professional experience. I had less professional experience going in, but I guess it is the penultimate degree you can get in acting, so you can go and teach at any university or college in the world.
Did you want to be a teacher? Was that?
That wasn't my desire, but it was a few people's desires, and they're definitely doing that. So, yeah. But it's a very good thing to have. Maybe when I mature and think at some point later down in life,
maybe that'll happen someday.
Yeah, because my grandfather. Don't get your hopes up.
Hey.
But my grandfather and my grandmother were educators, and that's definitely a part of the fabric of my family. So it's something I think about, but maybe a little further down the line.
And you also, just for the record, you have an actor who's also in the business? Or an actor?
You have an actor.
You have an actor in the business?
Yes, as an agent.
Yeah.
As a budding agent.
And how is this actor who's in this business related to you?
Well, yeah, I think the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're talking about Shooter.
Shooter.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Shooter McGavin. Oh yeah, it's my uncle Christopher McDonald.
If you haven't noticed,
now he studied English at Hobart and William Smith colleges, and now he's acting and has acted for quite some time professionally.
So how much of an inspiration was him being so successful in acting? Was it for you to pursue that?
Just such an inspiration to me. I don't know. I was growing up on a farm gutting chickens, and I would see him once in a while, and he wasn't covered in chicken blood, so I thought that's nice. There's something else out there.
Yeah.
But that was definitely a big part of it, going to New York and meeting some people with him and seeing how that works, watching him work, seeing him on Broadway and in Chicago and Front Page and with Tom Hanks and that other thing, all those.
Yeah, that other thing.
That really helped because it's a crazy business to get into. It's a strange venture to get into, and there are a lot of lean years when you're just auditioning and you're trying to get an agent. You're trying to do that, so it definitely helps to have people to look up to and see that it is possible and that it can happen.
I mean, it'd be interesting to find out what the ratios of people who do that in their family who get into it. I personally don't. Do you have anybody who is maybe a musician or actor in your family? Or
well, the closest thing would be my mom, who was a music teacher.
Okay.
But that's really not the same in the sense of having that thing where you're like, oh, this is possible to be a performer.
Right.
It was like, oh, it's possible to be a theater teacher, be a music teacher. And I almost started, I did like a semester of student teaching after my senior year of college.
Okay.
Because I had a theater degree, and I was like, I don't think I know what to do with this theater degree. And then I did a semester of student teaching, kind of didn't love it, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to give this thing a shot. But I really didn't have any kind of a role model, like that personally that I knew.
Yeah.
And that, I do think that it's like, until you sort of know someone who's doing it, it's like just kind of this idea, this like abstract idea.
Right.
It wasn't until I got to New York and like met people who were actually doing it that I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
This is a thing that I can actually do.
Yeah.
People can make a living doing this.
Right. Which you
Why didn't you like teaching? Did the kids poop on you or what happened?
I did have a kindergartner pee your pants on my first day when I was teaching by myself without ruined me for teaching for the rest of the time.
That's what did it, huh?
Yeah. I had to take
kindergarten.
She was in kindergarten.
Was she 17?
I had to round up all the kids. Oh, you know what was the best was so all of a sudden there's a puddle on the floor,
And, miracle puddle.
Yeah. And so this other kindergartner comes running up, this wacky, like energetic young boy, and he comes running up to me. And he slips in the pee, and he falls down in the puddle of pee, and he has no idea that it's pee, and I would go, oh, and this was a bilingual school.
Okay.
And I am not bilingual, but I knew enough Spanish to sort of sometimes fool the kids into thinking that I knew more Spanish.
Don't we all?
And so I said, at least what I thought I said in Spanish was, "What? Go wash your hands."
Okay.
So I said, "Levanta las manos,"
Uh-huh.
and he just looks at his hands, which are covered in pee, and he goes.
He wipes his hands together.
We just spreads it all over. It was amazing.
But you did. So that's not what you said. Was wash your hands. You said like.
Listen, I said
rub your hands together.
I'm pretty sure what I said was go wash your hands, but I
But
couldn't
either way,
tell
he
you
just
for
rubbed
sure
his hands together.
exactly what I said, and he just rubbed it all over.
What something I asked the other two cast members were, I mean, was there any consideration as far as like prep goes outside of like the rehearsal or before like maybe your first MDQ? Now you're a pro, but before you did your first one, like did you know anything about Jerry Lee Lewis? Did you know anything about Carl Perkins? Did you go read anything, watch anything about him? Or just kind of just show up and let the director direct and tell you where to go?
That's the best, usually. Just go in cold, don't research. Let the director tell you. They love that.
Right. Clear mind. Just
Clear mind.
Right.
Follow your impulses.
Right. That's what you got.
What about you?
I definitely didn't. Carl Perkins was not like a name that I knew. I definitely had to look him up. The most frustrating thing is when doing Carl for the first time was that I was trying to look up Carl Perkins versions of all the Carl songs, but there aren't Carl Perkins versions of a lot of the Carl songs.
Mm-hmm.
He never did Who Do You Love?
Mm-hmm. Which is in the show.
Yeah. He never did.
Did you See You Later, Alligator?
No.
Okay,
So I was like trying to go searching the whole internet, trying to find these songs by him, and they just didn't exist.
Right.
So that was a little frustrating.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like the mannerisms and stuff like that, I did a little bit, and then I actually the first time I was cast in MDQ, I got about a half a week's notice before I flew out.
For your first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before I flew out to rehearsals. So it was really like, okay, look at one video of Blue Suede Shoes and then pack my stuff and then get on my way.
Okay.
And yeah, so I kind of went in there just like doing my best, whatever I could think of as like my southern accent.
Had people had done the show before that you were working with and kind of could tell you, well, this is what usually Carl does here? Or
no, it was entirely the director, really.
Okay.
It was Scott and Ethan, who was the music director.
Who I've worked with also.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, me too.
Ethan.
You worked with Ethan?
Yeah.
Is that his name? No.
Ethan who?
Wait, no, what's his name?
I can't be quoted on his last name at the moment. I would have to double
Neither
check.
can I.
But Ethan is a great musician who knows everything about $1 Million Quartet. And from what I heard, I think
Depp, you're right.
Talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know what that last name that I just threw out there was.
Confer.
I have no
Ethan
idea.
Confer.
I have no idea where
Confer.
that came from.
He loves trees.
Right.
Yeah.
I think he got into like on the ground. I mean, as far as like he was like in the first like run of it, and like
Sure, yeah.
he knows the show like forwards and backwards musically and stuff.
Yeah. So I really kind of just went in like doing my best, and then I let kind
Well, it's nice that they gave you 4 days notice. I love that. The theater eyes for 4 days. I need a year. I need 2 years notice.
Actually, to tell you the
any
truth,
part.
I got conflicting messages from people in different parts of that theater saying, depending on what role I was going to play.
So you showed up.
I actually.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Well, I showed up and I wasn't positive whether I was doing Carl or whether I was doing Cash. I didn't really know until I got there the first day.
So even though you've done like Carl more,
What theater was this?
This was the Wisconsin Dallas.
Nice.
it's like even though you've done like Carl more, like was Cash? Were you just not like comfortable with Cash at all, or were you just?
I like singing Cash.
Okay. You can really get the.
I love. Oh yeah. Oh bring it down there. I'll bring it down there.
There you
Cash. It's fun to do singing wise because I like doing the low notes, but man, no, I would never. If someone said, I want to cast you in MDQ, would you rather play Carl or Cash?
Right.
Carl all the way.
Well, you're a very strong guitar player, so.
Yeah, it's all about the guitar for me. I'd much rather spend the time playing guitar than just.
Right.
What about Brother Jay? Just, you don't have to say too much. You can just chill up there.
I would be interested to learn it.
You play bass?
I play electric bass.
Yeah. Okay.
So if somebody was like, if I got a lot of notice, I would be totally into it.
Right.
Just to have that skill,
Well, we know Jefferson doesn't just do Jerry Lee. We know Jefferson does Elvis.
We do.
We do because I've seen it.
Sometimes I do. I don't do it every day, but when I do it, and it happens. And it's
mostly not for audiences.
Someone's at the door. Let me get this. I'll sit. I don't know. I'm still in frame. This is our stage manager, James. And we're just having like an MDQ discussion.
Here, have a toothpick.
He's got toothpicks for everybody. What Thank you, James. Just real quickly, this is your first experience with $1 Million Quartet, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
How long have you been doing?
Nice. So virginal.
Fresh eyes.
How long have you been doing stage manager work?
Since college.
Okay. So about 6 months? Oh, 6 years. 6 months.
Yeah, 6 years.
Okay.
He moisturizes.
Mm-hmm. How does $1 Million Quartet? Is it true that like people say it's like kind of different than most musicals, where it's just a little bit more like a concert and less of a?
Oh yeah, there's no plot. Right before this.
There's no plot.
Well, there's a plot. There's a plot.
Obviously,
I
you've never seen Ring of Fire.
No, I totally stripped that away. I was thinking of Amos Behavior, which is a show I did previous to this, so I compare it to that a lot. But this has a plot. Amos Behavior.
It's just music?
Yeah, that's more like a concert. You could try and find a plot in there, but it's really just music. But this I do like. This I do like. It's more of a story.
Right.
I look at it like a play with music as opposed to.
Had you seen this show
that's
before?
That's a good way to think of it.
A play with music?
Yeah.
Yeah. Had you seen this show before working on it?
No, but a huge fan of Elvis Presley.
Hey.
So.
Did you hear that right here?
Okay.
And he was in the middle of his Elvis impersonation, so if you could give us a little more, that would be.
Oh, listen, man, if you're playing the king, you can't just do a little. You gotta go all the way.
Yeah. Go all the way.
Someone stop me. Please
Go ahead.
Don't let me be Elvis, please. I don't know what. I just think that. It's one of the hardest things to do in the show because Elvis, he's the most recognizable person, right. Vocally, all the things that you have to bring, and you've been studying that since you were a kid. I know there are all those little nuances, and everyone in the audience is just so nitpicky about Elvis.
Right. Yeah, they come in with their own preconceived ideas with you more than anyone else.
But I think that's true about Elvis. But I think, in the way this show's written and everything, I think people leave really loving Jerry Lee and really thinking about Jerry Lee. And I don't know, it's interesting because sometimes I think how much is the way Jerry Lee's portrayed in MDQ is like the actual person. You can know if you just listen to the original MDQ jam session that he was just kind of obnoxious and kind of like,
for every song you hear him, he's just always throwing a harmony 2 octaves over what anyone happens to be singing. He's always there, but I really think that that's just his passion for music coming out. That's the kind of household that he grew up in.
Right.
So I think that may come out as assertive, and in some ways it may, but I don't think he's ever trying to be obnoxious or that at all. He's just
he could just kind of come across that way, I guess is what I meant. Just because
I think he can.
He just sounds like just a young kid, but what it is he's excited excited to be there. I mean, at least in the original recording, you know, and they beef it up for the stage play, of course, a bit, but.
Well, then, yeah, there's real two sides to him, because in some interviews he's really polished and professional, and others he's saying things that you just should not be saying.
Right.
So if you can really pull out both of those sides and develop as much of a complete character as possible, I think that helps the play. But he's really got a great sense of humor. That's what really attracted me to the role.
Yeah.
I thought that would be a lot of fun.
So, did you know, I mean, were you a fan of Jerry Lee's before you got the role, your first time? Or just kind of knew the music a little bit?
Musically, I wasn't playing anything by him. What I knew about him was from movies, like brief glimpses in Walk the Line and Walk Hard. You know, those moments where Jerry Lee would come in, but he wasn't really on my radar that much. I was mostly playing classical music as a kid, so that was not something that I was really drawn to. But now I will say, you know, having just done so many hours of research on him and just gone really through his book of music, his work of music, now I'd consider myself a very big fan. But before the show, not so much.
Right. That's cool. I mean, I think one of the things I always thought was like, I would hope people, if they didn't know very much about the people in $1 Million Quartet, that when they left, they'd want to go home and look up that person and, you know.
That's what I've done.
Have you?
Yeah. With everyone but Elvis.
So you knew about Elvis, but you weren't that familiar with the other people in the show prior to.
Carl and Sam Phillips. Any day, every day, and we're sharing a dressing room. I've seen it all. It's great.
Thank you.
But you're playing the original $1 Million Quartet, and I actually hear that, and hearing it every day before the show is very beneficial, because I'll throw in a harmony or a riff that he does different every day, just because I'm able to hear and listen to the source. So there's that much about these guys. You can continue to dive in every day and learn a little bit more about one of these characters every day. Whether it is, and I know audience members appreciate that. A lot of real rock and roll aficionados will come see the show, and they'll leave knowing something that they had no idea about.
Right. Did you, were you a big Elvis fan or Jerry Lee fan, or?
Not really. Most of my musical tastes growing up, learning how to play guitar it was like just past. You know, I was all about 60s Beatles, Stones.
The Who?
The Who, Zeppelin.
Right.
It was all those guys. So, but what I didn't realize until I started doing the show is that I knew more Carl songs than I thought I knew, but I just thought they were Beatles songs. They were early Beatles covers that I didn't know were covers.
Like when you went and looked up Carl.
Yeah.
In prep. Did he do Honey Don't? And the Beatles did that? That's one, right?
Honey Don't. And Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby.
Right.
But I love both of those songs, and I thought they were early Beatles songs, but they're Carl songs.
Right.
And now we play them at every bar we go to.
Yeah.
On the jukebox.
That's right.
If we can find
They
them.
love us.
James, did you have you want to share any first impressions from our first rehearsals here? Any thoughts about the show or the process as we went on?
Did you
not fishing for compliments?
Yeah.
Not fishing for compliments.
Did you think they were so great?
I did. I mean, that first rehearsal was just music. So
yeah, I mean, just with it being your first experience with this show.
Oh yeah, I've never done a show with actors playing their own instruments.
Okay.
So to somewhat I did with Buddy Holly, but I really wasn't attached.
Oh, you worked on the Buddy Holly story?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with it, but I've never not in a stage managerial role.
Okay.
So that was really cool to
do most musicals for the rehearsals, do they start with focusing on the music and then work on the scenes?
Yeah, and all the shows I've done, the first day and a half is strictly music.
And the guests just keep on coming here.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give him my seat.
Okay, thank you, James. You might remember Colin from our last video.
I don't know where I am without Where am I?
Colin Barkell plays Johnny Cash. We're just finishing up our
Look at that.
Do you have any more beer?
interview here.
No,
and
I
he's-
only brought one. I can get more. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's good to be back.
Go back, get more. That's all right. I don't need anything.
Well, is there anything you would like to plug?
Oh.
We Colin Barkell plugged his original album in our last video that's
Wow.
coming out.
I'd like to do the same.
Okay, please.
On our we've done 2 cruise contracts to an MDQ. We're about to do a 3rd.
Yeah.
And on those 2 cruise contracts, I made a record in my room, a solo record. I just brought my own recording equipment, and I brought a drum machine, and I brought an electric bass, an electric guitar, and I brought a keyboard. And I made this record, recorded under the artist name Scrawny Man. So, look up Scrawny Man. You can find all my tunes on Spotify, iTunes, all those places where you want to listen to music.
Do you have
Are they originals or covers?
They are original tunes, and it's not 50s style music at all. It's modern, kind of 80s synthy sounding music.
Do you have any social media pages that you would like to share?
Sure, well, you can find it on the old Facebook. Other than that, actually,
Is the Facebook page just under your name?
Scrawny Man.
It's Scrawny Man.
Scrawny Man.
Cool.
Look up Scrawny Man. You can find it out there, or Bandcamp, or SoundCloud, and all that stuff.
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
The name of the album is called King of Likes.
King of Likes. Cool. Very cool. Jefferson, anything? Instagram, Facebook, website?
Well, for the 2 contracts we were on the ship, I was doing other things in my room. So I didn't produce an album. I was reading books. I was reading. So I do have some other projects coming up, but there's no dates, no nothing. I can't talk about it. It's very hush hush.
Do you have an Instagram that you people would like to keep updated
Yes.
with stuff?
What do? I say my handle or do I say my name? You just
Just
put in my
say
name.
what your handle is, and we'll post it right here on the video so people can read it also.
Okay. It's J.D. McDonald. J.D. McDonald 1. And then you can see stuff. I better go.
That's your
take some pictures
Instagram,
off.
right?
That's my Instagram.
Okay. You have a Facebook artist page or
No.
website?
I should start
Okay.
that. I have a website. It's down. Check it out. Yeah. It will direct you to the holding domain site. So
Okay.
that's fine.
Great.
Check it out. That's coming.
Great.
Yeah, I was trying to fix that today, so maybe it'll be fixed.
What's that
That's
website address?
JeffersonMcDonald.com.
Okay. I wish I don't know if I have the
You got
ability
that
to
technology?
let it
Let's
go
try it,
just
okay.
like that.
It's JeffersonMcDonald.com.
That'd be so great if I could add it. Just, anyways, KavonNow.com is where you can keep up with me and my Facebook page, which this is posted on. We only have a few more days here in Cohoes. This is our last weekend. This is the shortest $1 Million Quartet I've ever done, but definitely
But the longest.
the fun. But somehow the longest. But this has definitely been one of the funnest, and
Yeah,
I
it's
enjoy
been- it's
working
great.
with these guys
Yeah, so
and gals.
come see it. Well, there are no tickets left, but come. Anyway, there's in the balcony, there's a couple.
There's a couple
Sure.
seats in the
Yeah.
balcony.
You can sit with James.
Yeah,
In the booth.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Barkell, you enjoy those
Wow,
muddy
you're
buddies?
really going through a lot
Yeah.
of snacks over here.
I'm
You
just
were
uh,
eating in the last video.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
eat.
I just
On camera.
came on camera to eat.
Yeah, Brad Pitt over here.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us, and take care.
Thank you so
And,
much.
yeah.